Jane Doe B. 17, King County, Washington. On January 2, 1986, skeletal remains of an unidentified female were found near Mountain View Cemetery in Auburn, Washington. Upon examination, they would determine she was likely white and around 5'8". The drawings are the initial recreations that were done at the time. Upon their examination, they determined she had likely been where she was found 1 to 3 years, and she was likely mid to late teens, which would place her date of birth likely 1965 to 1971. Because of the time involved, they didn't really know exactly what color her hair or eyes were. There's a well-known element to this case, and I'll get to it in a moment, but first I wanted to show a recreation that was done in 2012 and then another in 2020. One cool thing in an extremely sad case is that Parabon did one of their phenotyping snapshots for this case, and I think it's interesting for the fact that it looks so much like the recreation that was done on this Jane Doe, but they were arrived at through a completely different process. One is using genetic markers, and the other is using depth markers and clay. We know from solved cases, Parabon snapshots are often pretty close, especially if they were formulating it for the correct age of the person. Different factors such as the age estimate and the current health of the person, otherwise, they're pretty spot on. It's prediction based on percentages and genes. I always have to decide in these cases how much to say about who is to blame, and rather than bleep out the word for YouTube, I'm just going to say that this is tied to the Green River K case, which is one of the most well-known serial cases, and it went on for decades before the person responsible was found, and that was Gary Ridgway, of course. I'm not going to do a deep dive into this at all because it's already out there, but I've got some links in the description below if people are interested in that case. The young doe here is believed to be one of the 2 yet-to-be-identified women from that serial case. Ridgway has claimed to have taken the lives of 80 and has pled guilty so far to 48. Most of the cases took place in the 80s and 90s. The other still identified case is late 70s. Now, of course, Ridgway's credibility is really low, so whether or not he's truthful in this case matters too. But if he's truthful about this, it appears that the case happened in 1983. Isotope testing linked her place of origin to Alaska, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, or North Dakota. And it also suggested she could be from the Canadian provinces of British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland, or Labrador, which I realize is a lot. The young women he preyed upon were mainly living on the streets, possible runaways, and struggling with substances, or limited in the ways they had to make money, needing to survive, some of them with ages where they couldn't get jobs. It's just unfortunate that people target those who are most at risk and they hope won't be missed. If you know who she might be, please call the number on your screen. Jane Doe B. 17 has gone unidentified for 39 years. Her peers would most likely be somewhere in their 50s today. The Lumberton Jane Doe, Lumberton, North Carolina. On July 2, 1978, a woman was discovered in North Carolina on the edge of a cornfield along Highway 74, approximately 1 mile east of Interstate 95 near Lumberton, North Carolina. She was wearing blue jeans with ragged cut-off hems, a white hooded short-sleeved shirt with horizontal stripes in multiple colors. The shoes shown here were worn by her. They're white wedge type with open toes in a size 6. She had light brown hair, or possibly a reddish brown. I was under the assumption hair doesn't change after someone passes. And so I did a little digging the other day because I couldn't understand why they would give so many different colors sometimes. But it turns out I was 100% wrong. The hair color can change based on the environment, if it's laying in soil or what is going on. So if you're researching to try to find a match for cases, like I do and I know probably other viewers do, the hair color isn't as set as it looks like it is. Probably in some of the times it is, but there is a changing factor to it. Apparently, it depends on what undertones people have in their hair. For instance, mine has red and I have dark brown hair, but others might have yellow or red and yellow, and those undertones will come out differently. They estimate she was mid-teens to early 20s, and she had just been there for a few weeks. This would place her date of birth around 1956 to 1963. She was probably 5'1" to 5'3" and weighed between 95 and 100 pounds. Her fingernails and toenails had matching red metallic nail polish. She had several fillings and she had 4 molars removed. It stated that these left some small gaps. I'm not sure if that means her wisdom teeth or other molars. I'm not the same age as this doe, but I know 2 decades later, they pulled other molars if your teeth were crowded and they were readying a person for braces. If anyone recognizes her, please call the number given. The Lumberton Jane Doe has gone unidentified for 44 years. The Brunswick County Jane Doe, 1979. Leland, North Carolina. In 1979, hunters were out in a wooded area of North Carolina about 2,000 feet away from what is now known as Hooper Road, near the Hooper Hill section of Leland. It was there that a woman was discovered. It was believed that she'd been there for around 3 weeks before she was found. She had on a short-sleeved shirt, a tan sweater, black slacks or pajama pants, half stockings, red scuffed footies, and a gold Snoopy watch, in addition to the usual undergarments. They determined she was a black female and her age was early teens to 56 years old, which is incredibly wide, although they do seem to believe she was most likely on the older end of that estimation. This would place her date of birth from 1923 to 1966. She was around 5'4". A later examination that took place in 2017 changed the age estimate from 42 to 55, which would change the probable birth dates to 1924 to 1937. An isotope analysis was done and it determined that she was not native to North Carolina. In fact, it appears she hadn't been in North Carolina very long. She had most likely come from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, or California. If anyone has any idea who she may be, please call the number on your screen. The Brunswick County Jane Doe has gone unidentified for 43 years. Pend Oreille County John Doe, Pend Oreille County, Washington. A man was found in December of 2014 in a remote wooded area of Washington state, inside of a tent. If they know what happened, it wasn't released, so it was likely natural. He had on a blue JanSport backpack, a red sleeping bag. He had some toothpaste, nail clippers, deodorant, just general items of self-care. He had a thick blue and red watch cap and aviator glasses. He wore a size 3XL, a plaid button-up faded glory t-shirt, and pants that were sized 48 by 30. He had on military-style boots with a steel toe in a size 8. They described his face as being asymmetrical, saying there were other signs of health abnormalities that may have caused discomfort, although it's not listed as exactly what that meant. Even his age isn't very clear. He is listed as age pre-70, which would mean he was born essentially in 1945 or sooner. It appears his hair color is also unknown. The Pend Oreille County John Doe has gone unidentified for 8 years. As always, thank you so much for watching. The current goal for the channel is 20,000 subscribers. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss new episodes. Thank you so much to everybody commenting. Even with just an emoji, it really has made a big difference. Without it, there isn't a channel, so thank you guys so much. Take care of yourselves and each other.